Episode of the Today Show aired on the 28th of June, 1982. And one of the guests who joined Steve was John Howard, who was the Federal Treasurer at the time. To refresh your memory, here is a look.
I've read your report, and it seems to me that what you're saying is this, that there's little new in it, that criticism of the taxation department's unfair, that avoidance and evasion schemes didn't become widespread until after 1978, and now with new laws everything's okay. Do you think the Australian public is going to buy that?
They probably won't completely buy the last part of it, and that is that everything's okay. I think there's probably a good deal of scepticism around still.
Well, 22 years later, the Prime Minister joins us again, 23 years later, actually, nearly.
Is that right?
Making him one of Steve's first and last interviews on this program. Prime Minister, good morning. Neither of you have changed a bit, by the way.
I think we haven't we?
We wish, Prime Minister, don't we?
Yeah. Steve's done better in the hair department than I. Much better.
What an honour to have.
But it's great to be on the show.
Do you remember the first show? Do you remember the first show?
Yes, I do. I do. I remember it very clearly because, I think it's fair to say that there's probably nobody over the intervening 23 years who's interviewed me on television more frequently, more consistently, and on such a complete range of subjects as Steve has. I was thinking about this morning, and sure, I've had a lot of interviews with Laurie Oakes, but perhaps because that's a weekly program a bit less frequently. I've had a few interviews with Kerry O'Brien of the ABC, but over a 23-year period, Steve has been a consistent interrogator, and I really will miss him a great deal, and I thank him for the professional association that you inevitably develop with people who are respected media performers and commentators, and I've always found Steve to play it fair. He's given me a hard time when it's his job to give me a hard time, but on other occasions when really it's perhaps the job of the interviewer to let the person being interviewed say something to the viewers that the viewers want to hear, he's allowed me to do that, and he's been able to strike that balance. Not everybody does that, but he's been able to do it, and it's a mark of his professionalism.
Prime Minister, I suppose I've been reflecting these last couple of days about, you know, the past 20 years and all the water that's run under the bridge and the things I've seen, the pivotal moments in history, and you've seen a lot too.
I have indeed. And you and I have shared interviews about it. I think we interviewed each other. Well, you interviewed me in Washington just after the terrorist attack in September of 2001. You certainly interviewed me a lot when we were going through some of the travails that the coalition experienced in 1987. Certainly at the various high and low points of my political career you've interviewed me, but more importantly it's a period of time when Australia has changed, I believe, for the better. I think Australia now is a stronger, more confident, more assertive, more respected country. It was a good country 23 years ago. It's always been a good country, but I think we've come a long way as a nation in that 23-year period. And your program and you yourself have been an interpreter of that change to your viewers.
Prime Minister, Steve obviously decided to walk away from the brutal hours and smell the roses. It hasn't given you any ideas, has it?
No, I quite enjoy. There are a few roses around me here in the garden of the lodge, and I don't want to walk away from them at all. They smell terrific, in fact. It's a beautiful a late summer morning in Canberra, and I look forward to having many more.
Prime Minister, I was thinking after Monday, you and I could go walking together. We could both don our tracksuits and go pacing it out.
We could. You'd be very welcome. You'd be very welcome to, and because exercise, and I know you're a very keen tennis player, and I'm sure that regular exercise has kept you fit, as my regular exercise does me. But I would, on a personal note, like to catch up with you. I mean that, and have a beer. I'd like to do that, but I think you've made a massive contribution to the program, and you've kept a consistency and a dignity which has been always very impressive to me, and I think it's been a credit to your profession.
Thank you.
PM, just before we let you go, and I hope this won't seem incongruous because it is obviously Steve's farewell, but we do have to keep an eye on the news stories of the day, and there are a couple of critical ones. Can I ask you about North Korea's announcement that it has nukes and will pull out of talks?
Well, disconcerting, a reminder of the kind of country we're dealing with.
Guys, and we'll see you in another half hour.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Well, stay with us, won't you, because the best is yet to come. Up next...
Really?
Brace yourself. Up next, we'll look at our favourite moments over the past 22, 23 years. Some of them are quite hilarious. Take a trip down memory lane with us when we come back.
I don't know where people get ideas from, but boy, they get some beauties.